because
What's
when
that?
you work from home, and I know I
Mhm.
go into the studio and I do remotes and all those sorts of things,
Sure.
but I like when you work from home, you're just like, I'm gonna burp.
Yeah. Yeah, you forget.
Yeah, and then I'll be like in front of people, and I'll be like burp, and
Right.
oh crap, I shouldn't do that.
Nah, that's okay. It's just like the way that the bathroom, like we have a fan to cover the sound of it. It's all like hidden away. Like we have bodily functions. It's
Right,
okay.
right,
It's
yeah.
okay. We're ashamed of our
The
bodies,
fan
Cecil.
move, right? The fan move, right? You can
Mm-hmm.
always tell. You can always tell, and there's always a timer. Like
Mm-hmm.
you going out with your buddies or something, and
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, I got to take a whiz or whatever, and then that like takes them 7 minutes. You're like, oh,
Right.
you in there?
Right. Right.
I can't
Right.
say it. I can't say
No.
it. Sorry, Joe. Before the show, a sorry, Joe. Oh my god. All right.
It's gonna be that kind of day.
The Lions and the Steelers tied. You bet your ass it's going to be that type of day. Oh my god.
I'm just glad, Cease, that people
Oh
are
my
already
god.
anticipating our recap of that game.
Yeah, yeah. This is why we can't watch them live with you guys. All right, here we go. In, whoops. All right, 3, 2, 1. Well, there's bounce backs, and there's bounce backs that include the Dallas Cowboys beating up on the Atlanta Falcons. First game up in the Week 10 recap here on the Audible. Cecil, Lammey, Sigmund, Bloom, 43-3. I can go through the Falcons numbers, like Kyle Pitts, 4 for 60. That's enough. But like really, when Matt Ryan goes 9 of 21 and Josh Rosen comes in and throws a pick, is there really anything we can say about Atlanta today?
Yeah. This day included a Josh Rosen pick. Cease, it was 43-3, and it wasn't even that close. The score was closer than the game. It was 36-3 at halftime. And we had weird week 9. And some of these games, Cease, we're going to talk about weird week 10. Some of these games, we're going to talk about a return to sanity. Wow, was this a return to sanity game? On the Atlanta side, well, the Atlanta offense just was stuck in neutral. And this is more what I expected after we saw Calvin Ridley leave the team for mental health, personal reasons, and just nothing coming easy. Cordell Patterson had a few gains in the first half. They went to Wayne Gallman in the second half. They had to confirm that Patterson was okay. He's okay. Now, Cease, this is a good moment to say, and the Falcons were 4-4 coming into this one. It's not like their season's lost. But as we get into the second half of the season, teams might say, well, let's see what else some of these other players can do. Let's see what we have on the bench. Not that Wayne Gallman's some sort of developmental prospect. Also, they're playing on Thursday against New England. Dun, dun, dun. This game was 28-3 at one point, by the way. So you did see Gallman get the second half. I live in New Orleans. I have
You
to.
live in New Orleans, you have to say that.
I am legally obligated. They had a field goal drive early. Pitts had a few big plays early. And then we saw, as anticipated, Trevon Diggs on Pitts. Cease, interception. That's when Trevon Diggs got his 8th interception. And again, the season's not over at 4-5, but the offense was terrible. As we're going to talk about, the defense was terrible. This is not a good team. Last year it was 40-39. This year, one of the teams got into the 40s. The other one didn't get past 3. And, for Dallas, the return to sanity is everything came easy. The defense was good. This is exactly how they draw it up.
Yeah, Dallas side of things did whatever. I mean, Dak 296 and 2 touchdowns. People are greedy. Why wasn't it more? Zeke with a couple of touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb 694, 2 touchdowns. Tony Pollard did it as a runner and a receiver. Almost 100 all-purpose yards there as well. Amari Cooper 451. Michael Gallup's return is 3 for 42. All right, and your Dalton Schultz stock is tumbling. But again, they pretty much did whatever they wanted today.
As you said, the stock watch, when they score 43, now one of the touchdowns was a blocked punt, I believe. But otherwise, it was a good offensive day. Zeke is going to get his 1-yard touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb looked fantastic at the beginning of the game. Fastest player on the field. Looked like he left with an arm contusion. I think that was because the game was out of hand. Michael Gallup's back. Michael Gallup looks good. But now you're seeing this, right? If you have Gallup and Cooper and Lamb, and you have the running game, and of course you had Pollard catching 6 passes in this one, and you have a defense that is making it so these aren't shootouts. They get the 40 side of it, but not the 39 side of it in this one. Then some guys are going to be left out. This week it was Schultz. We'll see. Next week they get Kansas City. And again, it's something we're going to take out of this. Atlanta's defense is bad as we look ahead to that matchup with New England on Thursday night. Kansas City's defense we're going to get to watch. Dallas's defense looks good. Dallas's offense, fantastique.
Fantastico. Jacksonville and Indianapolis. is up next. Bloom, I won't recount all of my problems with Jaguars fans, but they are numerous. But man, I love Trevor Lawrence, right? And I love James Robinson. Really love James Robinson. Trying game, everybody, take your drink. I mean, Carson Wentz is hard to root for. Hell, it's hard to be a teammate of his, Lassie Bark. But, like, okay, 23-17, and the Jaguars almost fought back. Like, you're rooting and you're wishing and you're hoping, and then Trevor Lawrence is getting the hell beat out of him, but he's trying. As I spit up all over my keyboard, like, you're just trying. Hey, Dan Arnold got more than 60 yards again. That's what he does, 5 of the last 6 weeks now?
Right.
5 for 67 in this one. There's nothing else there. I mean, James Robinson had a rushing touchdown. Jamal Agnew, there's your fantasy assets are Jamal Agnew, right?
Right.
So, and Dan Arnold, as you said in the preview show, well, here in the recap show, I just want to say, man, I was there with you, man. You may not want me, Jaguars Nation or Duval or whatever the hell you call yourselves, but I was there with you.
Really winning fancies.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like Teddy Bridgewater going for a tackle on Darius Slay, right? Really going to win the fans over there, Teddy. Everybody hates you. Everybody hates you now. Congrats. Good job. Going to sell those jerseys. Yep.
It's a Broncos
Way to go,
show.
Teddy.
It's a Broncos show.
Always. But I was there. I wanted Trevor to do it, man.
Yeah.
I wanted that comeback win for Trevor Lawrence.
This was kind of a return to sanity after Jacksonville just beat Buffalo, right? The return to sanity part, well, I guess it never really left sanity. Jacksonville's offense is not good. James Robinson is going to fight for everything. He's going to get you something. Jamal Agnew, you had the speed. He didn't catch any of his 5 targets, and he had one of his better fantasy days this season. If he could just put these two together, there might be something there. Like you said, Dan Arnold, he's the one reliable part of this pass offense for us, and that's it. And they clawed back into this game. They didn't let Indianapolis get away from them. We'll talk about the Indianapolis offensive side. But see, something that comes up, the world-famous Eric Stoner, it's Sunday. He's up in my texts. I love it, though. And I got to bring up, he just says, hey, Trevor Lawrence isn't the generational quarterback we were led to believe he is. And now my reply is, this isn't exactly a place where a quarterback can grow. But he's right. He has a point that you're not seeing those things like you would see glimmer with Andrew Luck or Peyton Manning in his rookie year. The kinds of prospects he was compared to as far as raw talent or feel for the game, or what's his process. Now, granted, it may just be that he's surrounded by some incoherent team full of coaches that just not putting anything together around him. But I'm not exactly encouraged by this. I'm not exactly encouraged by Carson Wentz today either.
Well, yeah. When are we ever encouraged by Carson Wentz? And I hate to disagree with the world famous Eric Stoner, but it's about fit. It's about fit. Get him the right fit. Urban Meyer's awful. Okay?
But you would argue a number one overall generational guy.
Yes,
it just wouldn't even matter. Whatever you drop him into, he's going to transform it.
Peyton Manning, had like Jim Mora, right? When he was first in the league. So we've seen some things like this before. I like his fight. Now, maybe he just is a Phillip Rivers type and not a number one overall Andrew Luck, but that's who he was compared to. Right. So we'll put a pin in it, and we'll talk about the Indianapolis Colts side with your perfect segue. Carson Wentz, 22 of 34 for 180 yards. Okay, Michael Pittman, 5 for 71. Jack Doyle, 3 for 31. Nothing else from any of the receivers. It's all Jonathan Taylor. I mean, he's so much fun to watch. Like, the Colts may be boring, and Carson Wentz is kind of a villain with his own teammates, but, Jonathan Taylor is fun to watch. And, that's what they kind of led the way for the Colts today.
Yeah, we see the Colts. They're not dead yet, not even close. And remember, they've lost to some good teams in games that they should have won. But this is a game they should have won, and they did win. So that's progress. Carson Wentz, like you said, not lighting it up. They really were able to just take the foot off the gas early in this one because it was all nitroglycerin from one Jonathan Taylor. Cecil looked like a bull free in the streets of Pamplona. I mean, that's how he's coming out of the gate in these games. I could do a rodeo thing, Cease, but I don't want to, that's more like on the couch stuff. They got a block punt touchdown also. But otherwise, you see the Jags defense actually now one that maybe we take a little seriously next week against San Francisco. Meanwhile, Indianapolis, they go back to Buffalo where they narrowly lost, led by one Phillip Rivers. There you go, tying everything together next week. So it's a long season, and the Colts, at least right now, are feeling okay. And Cease, I think we're going to see one of the themes that's going to come out of this. It's been such a chaotic first half of the season that the teams that are best in the second half of the season will be the teams that can make the playoffs, and the Colts still have a chance to be one of those teams. Hopefully, Darius Leonard got a little banged up in this one. Obviously, their defensive MVP, along with DeForest Buckner, so we'll watch that coming out of this game.
What are the New England Patriots then? 45-7 in this one over the Cleveland Browns. So yeah, Patriots and Browns. Wow. Baker Mayfield gets knocked out of the game. Here comes Case Keenum. They just couldn't do anything. No Nick Chubb, no problem really. Dearness Johnson, almost 100 yards, 99 on the ground, and then 7 for 58 as a receiver. You're going to take that all day. Austin Hooper, nobody started's in there. I mean, Donovan Peoples-Jones, 1 for 16, but Baker's out.
Right.
So with the Browns, you're just like, okay, this is what you're going to get. And Baker's been trying for that money. And,
right.
Well, his shoulder, his body's not holding up at all.
First drive of the game, Dearness Johnson, I think, had 64 yards or something like that. Came right out of the gate strong. And again, let the Dearness Johnson be a lesson to us that pedigree measurables don't matter as much as the ability to mesh with the system and run effectively within the system, which he did. And then crafty Bill Belichick says, well, we're going to load up the box. Kevin Stefanski goes to the spread concepts. Perfect. Checkmate, right? Mm-hmm. Put the ball in Baker's hands. Checkmate.
Yep.
Checkmate. It was a mastery. The first drive, light in the box. Cleveland, and they go down and they score on 4th down, actually. David Njoku had it on 3rd down and got slapped out of his hands. Should have had the touchdown. And then a nice juggling catch by Austin Hooper.
Was it slapped out, or did he just kind of drop
I don't know. He looked like he looked at the ref like, did I score? No, you didn't score. You got to hold the ball, man. And then Hooper catches it. But the point is they go up to Foxborough. They go right down the field.
Here we go.
Touchdown. Here we go. And then Belichick induces the switch to the spread offense, and nothing. The engine doesn't turn over. And then Baker Mayfield gets hurt. Matt Judon, right? I mean, this guy is transformational. Transformational, did I make up a word there? Belichick doesn't miss, okay? When he goes for a defender, except for Adelius Thomas, someone corrected me, he doesn't miss. The whole rest of the game at Cecil was a classic, what happened? The first drive of the game, everything's great. Kevin Stefanski got checkmated up in Foxborough. And yeah, I think the Patriots on a 4-game winning streak now, Cease. Mac Jones is feeling his oats. They get to revisit one of their greatest victories on Thursday against the Falcons. Break up the Patriots.
Break them up. Break up mac and cheese. So good that Brian Hoyer played. Again, rich man, poor man. Right. Brian Hoyer's in. It's really good or really bad. It was really good today because it was 45-7. Jones gets 3 touchdowns. Doesn't even throw for 200. And this was why Kendrick Bourne, by the way, and the touchdown there, 4 for 98. But the Jacoby Myers touchdown, we could do a whole
the moment of the day.
This is why, we love football.
Keanu Kiss. Can we get Keanu Kiss for that?
Keanu Kiss for Jacoby Myers. This is exclusively on this show. Well, maybe not, but hopefully. Either way, boom, there you go. That is for you, Jacoby Myers, the first touchdown, and half Eddie. It was like half the team ran down.
Yes.
To celebrate with him. It was so beautiful. It was so wonderful. It was almost in a way, and this may be silly, Bloom, but it was almost like a Pop Warner type of celebration, where everybody knew this is your first one. Everybody knew this was your first touchdown, and it was fantastic. So you love to see that. I say that this shows a love for football, right? Mm-hmm. And this type of game shows when I just say fantasy football is stupid. Right. And people may be like, what are you talking about? You're just showing fantasy football host. Yeah, fantasy football is stupid because Ramondre Stevenson was out of practice almost all week with a concussion. And, it's one of those things okay, is it going to be Brandon Bolden this week? I guess it's going to be Stevenson. No Damian Harris. We did know that. I think that was Saturday, Bloom, because I was doing the news. And so Saturday we knew no Damian Harris. I don't think we knew about Stevenson. If I didn't catch it, let me know. But it's one of those things, again, where fantasy GMs made decisions. Ramondre Stevenson, who we know is talented, was on a lot of benches. And if he wasn't on your bench, you got 2 touchdowns on 100 yards. So the love of football with Jacoby Myers and that touchdown, and of course, Hunter Henry, Mac Jones' favorite guy. Yeah. And then the hatred of fantasy football because Ramondre Stevenson might have been on your bench.
Yeah, and that's what we saw. Mac Jones dealing, looking fantastic in this one. And You saw Kendrick Bourne get a touchdown. You saw two touchdowns to Hunter Henry. No Johnny Smith in this one, so the dreams of him being in the backfield just dashed. Although Ramondre Stevenson being active probably would have done that anyway. Jacoby Myers gets the touchdown from Brian Hoyer in garbage time. And you always love that about Belichick's teams. They don't let up when the game is decided. For fantasy, we do like that, Cease. And I'll echo what you said, because what you see, Cease, is just love, just that the team loves Jacoby Myers. And it had built up for weeks. There had been a few weeks. There was one that was wiped off the board by a penalty. And he has obviously, there are things we don't see, Cease. But again, I want to bring up, every week I'm going to bring this up, the social organism that a team is. And I know that Bill Belichick might run a tight ship, but all of the people on the ship pulled together. They got Trent Brown back this week, offensive line, feeling good. And you saw that touchdown. You saw I saw McCourty. It wasn't just offensive players. It wasn't just his guys from the wide receiver room. It was the team.
Right.
It was the team. And it was genuine excitement and joy. And that's one of the things, Cease, I go back to that Robert Hunt play on Thursday night. The joy that created. We really have to get the ball in offensive linemen's hands more often because they appreciate it, Cease.
Mm-hmm.
Jacoby Myers appreciated that touchdown. His team appreciated it. And then Ramondre Stevenson. So it's Bill Belichick. And here's what Bill Belichick means, Cease. We can't actually triangulate him and figure him out, right? Oh, Jonas Gray didn't hit his alarm clock, hit the snooze button, and he's off the team after 4 touchdowns, right? Oh, Belichick doesn't play someone who doesn't practice. And Belichick says, no. It's like Old Testament God. Don't think you know me, right? Don't you dare think you actually know what my mind is, because Ramondre Stevenson didn't practice and is the lead back and looks like he deserves it. Could have had a 3rd touchdown in this one. Got a couple of shots before one of the Hunter Henry touchdowns and just looked good. And see, I think that was one of those picks, and I know that I didn't go strong to the hole in my dynasty rookie drafts, but I think when we saw Ramondre Stevenson go to the Patriots, we thought, that he went to a team that was going to know how to use him. A team that's going to capitalize on what he brings to the table, even though other teams might not have. Why couldn't the Steelers have taken a running back like Stevenson in the 4th round instead of McFarland and Benny Snail? Anyway, Stevenson, you have to wonder now, Damian Harris, is he going to be ready for Thursday night? Even if he is this a Stevenson-Harris backfield going forward now? It's this New England team, Belichick, I know we had that rough year. I know the narrative was Brady was really the special sauce, not Belichick. Cease today was a Belichick day. Maybe not so much a Tom Brady day, though.
Not so much. Your TB12 sauce is expired. It's not so very good. By the way, I wanted Darrell Henderson instead of Benny Snell.
Sure.
So, and I want the Steelers to move as far away from Mason Rudolph as possible. Please. Please, for the love of God. They can't go into next year and think anything about Mason. Anyway, it's a Steelers show. And a Broncos show. Well, it's because we have Bills and Jets. When it's 45-17, and you're like, 45-17. Oh, well, that's an all Bills day. The plucky Jets didn't give up, so that's why they got their scores. We'll get to that a little bit later. And Mike White's writing checks with his mouth that his ass can't catch, catch. Josh Allen, 366, couple of touchdowns. Not much as a runner. We saw the Bills needed to do something different, right? We'd said that. The Bills need to do something different. What was different? Now introducing more Matt Breida.
Yeah.
So you have Zach Moss, who got a touchdown. You have Devin Singletary, who got a touchdown. And then you have Matt Breida, who got 2 touchdowns. So the introduction was using Breida as a speed back option, in addition to Moss's power. And Singletary's, he's a little bit relentless. He breaks tackles. He can anyway. Stephon Diggs, 8 for 162 and a touch. So big day there. Gabriel Davis, 3 for 105, including, Gabriel Davis all the time. What was that one next sideline, right, Bloom?
Right.
Where he just dot, 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 dot. And he didn't get in. And then he got in because he's an amazing player. He needs a larger opportunity. So the Bills did do something different against an inferior opponent, vastly inferior. And that new thing was Matt Breida, but, waiver wire talk, would they do it again?
Right. So this was a return to sanity game, right? This is another great return to sanity game. Josh Allen, it's easy. Jets defense, not good. Not that that's really fault waiver that much. You saw Stephon Diggs, finally have one of those games. Why did you take Stephon Diggs like in the top 15, 18 picks for games like this? They have no answer for him, that they being the Jets secondary. By the way, the Colts up this week again. That's the matchup, the rematch of the playoff game from last year. Yeah, the Colts don't have any matchup. Anyone that can match up with Diggs. Look for Diggs to stay hot. Jets pass rush was early, first half of the game. Jets pass rush getting home, holding the Bills offense down, but the dam's going to eventually break. Like you said, Davis coming on, one big catch. They called pass interference on it too, so Saleh didn't even bother to challenge it. Davis making those tightrope plays on the sidelines, and then you saw Matt Breida. And Cecil, he looked like San Francisco 49ers Matt Breida. That burst. And he was involved early too, because this is part of the plan. Now, if this is a three-headed backfield, in this game, Cecil, it was the Oprah backfield. You get a touchdown, you get a touchdown, you get a touchdown. Everybody gets a touchdown, but you don't play the Jets every week. So if this truly becomes a three-headed backfield, which may be better for this team, obviously that muddies the water for fantasy. Beasley, Sanders, you didn't get much from them. And this is just how the passing game is going to go. Josh Allen's like the big Kool-Aid man pitcher, and there's the cups. And sometimes the cups overflow, like the Diggs cup overflow. The Davis cup we didn't expect this week. The rushing touchdowns, right? 3 rushing touchdowns from running backs. So Beasley and Sanders left out in the cold. That's just how it's going to be. You could just easily have Beasley with 10 catches next week, or Sanders with 2 touchdowns and 90 yards. So you keep sticking with those guys. I guess we're just going to say that Jacksonville game, just like the Dallas, it's just a bad dream. We've woken up from it.
When Jets fans chant, "We want Flacco,"
oh boy,
life comes at you fast. Ion's cat tells us that, and it's very true, because Mike White said, and listen, when I think I saw the quote, right? I think it was like a Bleacher Report headline or something. It was like, not like I clicked through, but I was just like, I like the kid's confidence. He's wrong, but still, you don't want a guy to be like, no, I'm just a late round guy. I'm just happy to be here. You want a guy who's like, yeah, I should have been number 1 overall. Yeah. Okay. You can't go out and throw 4 picks in the next game.
Right.
Then you're Nathan Peterman, man. Like, you can't do that, Mike White. Like, it's just, no. Here comes Joe Flacco. He throws a touchdown, and Michael Carter gets a touchdown. He had some garbage time here. Elijah Moore gets the touchdown from Joe Flacco, by the way. Corey Davis gets 5 for 93, so it's enough. Carter's doing it as a runner and a receiver, so there you go. But, yeah, this was a day that Mike White will not want to remember.
Yeah, see, we saw that start to his career as the starter, that first great start, looked pretty good in that quarter or so before he left, and Josh Johnson kept the offense humming. So you thought, okay, in this one now, Buffalo's defense, a tougher draw. We saw them humble Tua earlier this year, but okay, there's a chance. See, so it was kind of like watching a skateboard trick where they, in the air, they kind of grab the board, they get their feet back on, are they going to land it? No. You left a couple of teeth on the pavement if you're Mike White. No, you didn't stick the landing, and probably you're stuck to the bench now, right? Zach Wilson most likely going to start next week against those Dolphins. That's another team. It's part of the weird part of Week 10. You did see garbage time. Elijah Moore came through with a touchdown. Corey Davis got some garbage time catches. Michael Carter had a touchdown in this one. Really, a lot of the game was garbage time, even though it was close in the first half, because the Jets didn't really have a prayer of moving the ball, which is kind of back to, again, sanity in Week 10.
Sanity and insanity. Intensity in 10 cities. I don't know. This was in the Music City. It is Tennessee and New Orleans. That was an interesting game, Bloom. The final score, 23-21. The Titans get the win, and they are on a roll now at 8-2. The Saints are 5-4. Trevor Siemian, 298, couple of touchdowns. All right, here comes Taysom Hill. He's in the game. All right, he doesn't throw, and he runs a little bit, runs a rub route, basically. Was that the Callaway touchdown? Right, where Taysom ran the rub route and kind of stumbled. It's like, nice acting job, Taysom. And the Oscar goes to Deontay Harris, 3 for 84. Mark Ingram as a runner, 47, 1 touchdown. As a receiver, 4 for 61. Traquan Smith. Has there ever been someone to not score as many touchdowns as Traquan Smith? Like, touchdown, oh, you're out of bounds. Touchdown, oh, there's a penalty. Touchdown. And right. They just kept trying. It kept going to him. He finally got one, right? So, okay, he got one, 441, 1. Callaway with the aforementioned touchdown. I thought maybe Juwan Johnson would get a little more when he got his. I was like, more, can you give me more Juwan Johnson, please? Please, sir, can I have some more? And the Saints are saying, please, sir, can we just have a win?
Yeah, they had a 2-point conversion to tie this one up at the end. Didn't pull it together. See, it's another game where Trevor Siemian maybe just takes a little while to get warmed up. You know, you're talking about the old Jeep earlier this week. You know, it's one of those takes a little, let it get warm up. Then everything starts to work in the offense. And Simeon, a decent enough passer, getting Deontay Harris involved. Harris did have a very costly fumble to open the second half that really took away a lot of chance for the Saints to play this game straight up. They had to come back late. Otherwise, we saw with Simeon, you're still going to pick on the Tennessee defense. Okay, we know that Tennessee's defense have had some moments. Now next week it's Houston, but I still think this is a very vulnerable defense. Jeffrey Simmons is awesome, but still, this is a defense we're going to try to pick on. They didn't run the ball well. The Saints didn't, but Mark Ingram scored a touchdown. Mark Ingram showed he can still put up fantasy points as a receiver, as the lead back. We'll see about Alvin Kamara next week. The Saints go to Philadelphia, team you got to watch up close. And you just cannot get a read on this Saints team week to week. You know, they lost to Atlanta last week. Atlanta lost 43-3 today. I don't even care who the other team was. You know, a team that just lost 43-3 beat you in your own house. They go to Tennessee. They put up fight. They kind of play a Tennessee-like game, like they wanted to try to win ugly, but you can't win ugly against the best win ugly team in the league.
They've mastered putting lipstick on a pig. It is Mike Vrabel and the Tennessee Titans. By the way, Sean Payton hasn't had a 2-point conversion that's been successful since 2018.
Ooh, that's not good. Yeah.
That's bad, right? Titans side of things, Ryan Tannehill, 213, 1 touchdown. McCole Pruitt, nobody started him, got the touchdown. Marcus Johnson, hey, with that big 50-yarder, going 5 for 100 today. Dante Foreman, 2 for 48. You're like, where's A.J. Brown? 1 for 16. Okay, Dante Foreman, 11 for 30 on the ground. Ryan Tannehill had a rushing touchdown too, by the way. Adrian Peterson runs swift, but then doesn't do anything, right? So it's like, wow, he's really swift. Oh, 2-yard gain. So 8 for 21. You know, Jeremy McNichols, nothing there. So they win ugly, and fantasy GMs and really Titans fans, Bloom, are left scratching their head, going, I wonder how.
Yeah. 5 in a row. I wonder how. 5 I wonder hows in a row. And what you see, Ryan Tannehill, one of the touchdowns came after a terrible roughing the passer call. Okay, just terrible. Some of the roughing the passer calls have been very questionable. This one kept a drive alive. Not just kept a drive alive, but nullified a red zone interception, an interception in the end zone. So that was a big point in this game. The Saints obviously have grievances. Add to the list of the Saints' grievances.
Maybe they'll get an apology like the Bears.
Yeah. By the way, just as an aside, it's worse when the league apologizes. It's cruel. It's cruel when they admit it. Let's just move on. Sometimes, I grew up in a dysfunctional family. I know the value of just moving on. Let's just move on. But no, the NFL has to rub it in. You did see Marcus Johnson, and I was looking this morning when Julio Jones went on IR. I'm wondering, well, who, if anyone, gets more targets? It has been Marcus Johnson, the speedster. And Marcus Johnson was the best thing about the passing game. What you wonder about, Cease, going back to the beginning of last year, we thought the A.J. Brown, the thought was he's going to have to beat double coverage a lot. He's going to have to learn how to be a different receiver. He's going to get different kinds of treatment. Well, now you have that and no Derrick Henry.
Right.
So is this just the Saints found a way to put the clamps on him? Now, again, it's Houston next week, so that should be a good sign. If A.J. Brown can't put up numbers against Houston, then maybe we're a little bit worried. We are not worried about this Tennessee team. See, they're already ready for the playoffs. They know how to win in just about any way conceivable against teams with different makeups, different strengths and weaknesses. Only weaknesses on the Texans next week.
They're already ready, and you're ready for more, which means Buccaneers and Washington football team. This one was very interesting because Taylor Heineke plays like Tom Brady when he's playing like Tom Brady.
Right.
And then he plays like Marsha Brady or whatever Brady.
Marsha.
Joe Brady? Joe? I don't know. Give me another Brady, right? Like he plays like that other Brady when he's
Brady
not
Quinn.
playing. Ooh, very good. Very good. These are the jokes, people. 29-19 the final score. Tommy Brady, couple of picks, couple of touchdowns, 220 on the day. There's your alliteration game. Mike Evans, 2 for 62 in that touchdown, the big 40-yarder. Chris Godwin, 7 for 57, so close. Cameron Brake got the touchdown, by the way. Leonard Fournette got 8 for 45 as a receiver, 11 for 47 as a runner. It's almost like they tried to switch to more Fournette, like when they first started out, and what we're doing is not working. Let's switch to Fournette. they tried and it didn't work.
Yeah, nothing really worked here in the first half, at least. You saw a couple interceptions to open this game. Washington, this is a game actually where Washington lost Chase Young. They fear a torn ACL. But they rally around the loss, if you will, and the intensity was there for this team. This is one of those signature wins. This is our weird Week 10 game. This is our game that would fit in well, just like the Miami-Baltimore, in weird Week 9. You did see Evans get a long touchdown. You did see Godwin gobble up some short catches so that he made a decent line in PPR leagues. Tyler Johnson, that's a snake eyes. You did, like you said, the touchdown goes to a tight end, not O.J. Howard. Cameron Brady, who's been getting more snaps and targets than Howard after Howard had that outburst game when Rob Gronkowski first went out. And of course, everyone was bringing up the playoff game when Taylor Heineke played Brady, not quite straight up, but certainly they gave Washington the best fight of any of the teams. I'm sorry, they gave Tampa the best fight of any of the teams that played Tampa for the rest of the playoffs. And sure enough, Heineke, and you could see coming out of the bye, you could have made a move to Kyle Allen here. Heineke never really gained a lot of confidence over the last month, and if anything, showed the limits of his play. But at home, I don't want to say this was their Super Bowl, but it was certainly a game, I think, that if we would be asking a lot more questions about Heineke if he hadn't turned it around. And even though we're not asking questions about this team, and that's the thing, I hate to say it, it's kind of a hollow victory because Washington's still wayward as a franchise. They don't have a name yet, right? I mean, they don't have a quarterback for the future. You really have to wonder where they're at, but they do have this win over the Super Bowl champions.
They do have that win, and that was their Super Bowl. Good job, Ron Rivera. Washington football team, it was a day for Antonio Gibson, couple of touchdowns, 24-64. You want to talk about hard-fought yards, hard-fought big hits, and Terry McLaurin, Stinks called him McLovin because he loves him. Like, yes, okay. You should have said after that big hit, and this is to my friend Mark Schlereth, you should have said, I'm going to check his ID because that was a grown man hit, right? There you go. As you're winking to Kate, or you're winking to me or the audience, Bloom.
I'm winking to the audience. Okay. I'm just seeing who's actually looking at me because I rarely look at the camera. And every now and then I just remind myself I should look at the camera because if you're looking at me.
You're looking at the camera. Yeah. Camera 1, camera 2. Camera 1, camera 2. Let's talk Washington football team, including the big hits and the big win for Ron Rivera.
Yeah, don't start your running backs against Tampa unless it's Antonio Gibson scoring twice, putting this game away, and getting going in the second half, even though the yards per carry were not there. You saw them sticking with him. So maybe come out of the bye a little more gas in the tank. You did see the touchdown to DeAndre Carter. Really nice throw by Taylor Heineke. McLaurin had a big catch to help ice the game. Ricky Seals-Jones was doing okay until he got hurt. And that's basically the offense. Not much J.D. McKissick because they were playing from ahead. So Washington, again, probably not going anywhere, but they're playing a team that maybe thinks they're going somewhere, the Carolina Panthers, in the Ron Rivera Bowl next week.
I'm back. Yeah, we're going to get to that.
Okay, we got to get to this.
I know.
They've been waiting for it. I feel pressure, actually.
I pushed it back, though. I was like I don't want to.
So many people saying they couldn't wait for this season. So we got to deliver.
Mason Rudolph is awful. Okay.
Well, everybody that listens to the show knows that.
You know we're talking about the Lions and the Steelers, okay? I don't even want to go through the box score. And I don't want to go through kissing your sister. Although whoever...
You hate ties, right?
I absolutely hate ties. Like, I hate ties.
It's your least favorite thing. I think it's been established this is your least favorite thing.
Next to Mason Rudolph.
But now you put them together. Like opposite of chocolate and peanut butter.
Right. Your crap got in my crap. Oh, yeah. It's a turd sandwich. Right. Anyway, like I have a Broncos rant coming up. And I was like, okay, get ready for the Steelers rant. And then I'm like, I don't have the energy.
It's not worth a rant. It's not even worth a rant. See, it's like when your parents say, I'm so disappointed in you. Oh, geez.
you know? But I don't want to say you're laissez-faire about this, Bloom, although you are somewhat laissez-faire with life, which is a good way to be. Right?
Easy come, easy go, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Say la vie, all those sorts of things. But when we got on the horn, and I was just like, I was eating. Yeah. Full disclosure.
Healthy.
I got to stay on my diet. 18 pounds in 3 weeks, by the way. Anyway, so like you were kind of calm about the Steelers. Is apathy set in? Like
it's not apathy.
I'm just and then what's the latest on Watt?
Oh geez, hip. I
Yeah.
don't know. All right.
Yeah. So let's get to this
jump in.
fest.
Yeah, let's jump in. So first of all, okay, the Steelers were getting creased in the running game.
Yes.
When was the last time we saw that, Cease? When was the last time? Look, if it's the Steelers,
maybe like Jamal Lewis.
I don't even know.
Maybe
they were getting creased against the Lions. Yes, oh boy, you held down Jared Goff. It was a miserable slop fest of weather. So that's the one thing about this game. The mood was perfect. It was like Edgar Allan Poe's story or something. It was speaking of the Ravens, right? It was perfect. It was dreary. It was miserable. It was probably miserable to be there. It was miserable to be on the sidelines. And it was miserable to be in this game. Jared Goff is terrible. They got to get him off the field. Run the wishbone with somebody. Okay? Yeah. Jared Goff looks about as disinterested as a quarterback can look. Don't say the Steelers' defense was dumb. No. Jared Goff sucks. He just checked out. He's checked out, Cease. It's really frustrating when you know that Dan Campbell has gotten everybody else to buy in and Jared Goff's checked out. Doesn't matter. Godwin Igwebuike scores from distance. Jamar Jefferson scores from distance before he gets hurt.
Right.
And DeAndre Swift, he got 33 carries. And he, for a running back, I think there's a certain class of running back, probably a lot of running backs, that would love the idea of getting 33 carries in the rain against a defense that's trying to beat him up, And Swift was getting the tough yards that were there. Khalif Raymond had a good punt return that set up the Jefferson touchdown because the passing game was just non-existent in this one. And then let's take the Steelers side. Mason Rudolph's here. 30 for 50 for 242. 30 for 50 for 242. You did get a touchdown early with James Washington, the shower narrative, the old Oklahoma State Cowboys baby hookup. You did see Ray McLeod getting a lot of short receptions. All there were short receptions. Deontay Johnson and so on. But the Steelers are playing from behind in this one because they gave up those long runs. They did eventually get the game to overtime thanks to Chris Boswell. And if you really want to encapsulate this game for the Steelers, by the way, Detroit plays Cleveland next week, Rust Bowl. This is like the Rust Bowl round robin. What you saw was the Steelers, okay, you get them to overtime. You get the Lions to overtime. Really, except for those runs, those long runs, the Lions' offense was doing nothing. The Steelers are going to be okay. They're going to be okay. Deontay Johnson catches the long ball to get into field goal range, fumbles at the end of the play. All right. Okay. Lions, they stop them on the Steelers side of the field, get the ball. Driving down last few seconds of overtime, getting back to field goal range. Pat Freiermuth. Fumbles.
What was that one play on for Najee where Freiermuth's like, oh, he's still going?
Yeah.
Like, dude, block your ass off.
Yeah.
Come on, you're not Noah Fant.
There's just what was the most telling about this game, Cease, is that a 16-16 tie was the most appropriate outcome that you could have come up with for the. Sometimes neither team deserves to win, and that's why, Cecil Lammey, you should open your heart a little bit to a tie, because that's the football god saying, "No win for you." No win for you. You did not deserve a win today. Steelers play the Chargers next week. So, going into this week, you're thinking, those Steelers, hey, the Ravens lost. Steelers can move into first place. Got to beat. Oh, yeah. This tie, mark my words, Cease, this tie will be the reason they don't make the playoffs, and it will be fitting. And then we'll move on, hopefully not to the Mason Rudolph era.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Oof, you don't know. We do know this. I'm back. And you love to see it. Carolina 34, Arizona 10. Okay, Arizona, they're 8-2. Carolina is 5-5, and Cam Newton is back. Now, not in the game very much, but when he came into the game, you felt like this burst, right? Didn't you feel that? You probably felt it on Twitter, Bloom. I was largely ignoring social networking, but you could feel the surge. It was like electricity, You know how he ended his first press conference? He's like, I just want to say this. Been waiting a long time. Keep bounding. And they came out there, and you just felt Cam Newton was back. And Vance Joseph was somewhere wetting his pants. I don't know, but like the first touchdown, it almost looked like Cam was like asleep or something. It was a low snap. And when he came into the game and you saw him before the snap, and he was just kind of like, I don't know, eyes a little hazy or whatever. And then he got the ball and he just ran it in, and it was like old Cam. It was like he never left, right? Hair's a little different now. I actually like the do.
Yeah, the natural.
And he's just said, I'm back. So the rest of the guys, whatever, McCaffrey, whatever, like Chuba Hubbard, whatever. But Cam Newton was back with the passing touchdown because PJ Walker's just, third string level quarterback. That's what he is. Robbie Anderson gets a touchdown. Cam Newton gets a touchdown. And this was fun. It would have been more fun with Kyler Murray. We'll get to that, Bloom. But it was fun to see Cam Newton back.
And what did the Cam Newton signing signify, Cease? Other than Greg Rosenthal's great point about call up an old love that didn't work out with, offer them money to see if they'll try again. No.
That's kind of weird, actually.
Right.
Anyway, let's move on. Greg, you should probably not tweet weird stuff.
Well, that's what the Panthers did, though, right? I mean, David Tepper's like, yeah, we don't really need you. But what if I give you $4.5 million guaranteed? Will you come back? Will you be our quarterback? And let's just put that behind us, that awkwardness, right? And they did. And even sees the Patriots players who were on the roster with Cam Newton last year saying, yeah, that's good. That's great. That's great that he's back. Cam Newton is loved by his teammates. If that's not apparent to you, whatever you think of Cam Newton, this is what his teammates think of him. And that's important.
Right.
And you saw the difference in how the team played. And I don't want to say that's all Cam Newton, but Christian McCaffrey being out there is important. But I think that you can see this team rally around him. And Cease, like you said, it was very much, Cease, it was the kind of scene that you could draw in one of your comic books, right? Like you said, you put the football stuff in comic books. When his teammates are mobbing him, he's right up there in the camera, and he just is announcing to the world, I'm back. I'm back.
He even did the Superman thing over on the sideline.
Yeah. And it's just good. It certainly makes for a more entertaining game. And it's certainly, and look, Arizona, they have Seattle next week, which is probably a game they're a little more focused on than this Carolina game. And then they have a bye. And the 17-game season, I think, really has, it's just one more game, Cease, but I think it's made teams focus more on it like an expedition, like one of those races where it isn't important to be the fastest car. It's important to be one of the cars that actually finishes the race. If you're one of the cars that can actually finish the race, 24 hours of Le Mans or whatever, then you have a better chance of winning than if you just go pedal to the metal, but you ignore the rigors of the race and how it's going to wear you down. So maybe it was that kind of day for Arizona. But Carolina, when they signed Cam Newton, I think that's a team saying, we haven't given up on this season. Right. We have a good defense. We have Christian McCaffrey. We think we can still make the playoffs. We think we can still make some noise. And they did make some noise in this one. Everyone except for, DJ Moore. And we'll see. We'll see whenever Cam Newton is back as the starter, if that helps more. But I think you're going to see this offense continue to run through McCaffrey. You're going to see Newton, option 1A, 1B, also at the goal line with how efficient he was. You even saw Robbie Anderson get that touchdown. Speaking of redemption stories, again, Carolina gets Washington coming off of their big win next week. So both of those teams coming in on a high point. Again, I wouldn't necessarily call it a low point for Arizona. I wonder if this is one Cease that after beating San Francisco on the road last week, they said, yeah, we're 8-1. We're okay if we lose this one.
We're good. A few things. And our man Saline talking about Cam Newton playing terrible and nobody wanted him. There's reasons why. Now, we can get into those reasons as much as YouTube will allow us. We're already, this video is already like not demonetized, but like limited. I'm watching it in live time right now. YouTube is like, this video is running limited or no ads due to content identified as not suitable for most advertisers.
It's our energy.
Why?
It was the Steelers. It was that.
Why?
It's profane. Cease, I heard the Supreme Court ruled the Steelers Lions game was obscenity. Officially not against public community standards.
Oh, there's so many ways I could go with that, Bloom, that I won't. But let's know this. One, it's all about fit. Okay. Did anyone ever think Bill Belichick would fit with Cam Newton? No. And I'm not defending Cam Newton. I'm just taking Saline's point, and I want to highlight how Cam Newton was out there for other reasons. Part of the reasons were COOF reasons, and you can put the math together yourself. Part of the reasons were other reasons that, hell, I'll get into if you want, Bloom. And part of the reasons why he didn't fit with Bill Belichick.
No.
Okay, I'm not saying he'll fit with Matt Rule. I actually don't think Matt Rule's a good coach. We shall see. I know Vic Fangio's not a good head coach. Anyway,
Every day.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Every day the media makes excuses for him and gives him a pass, along with Teddy Bridgewater, whose pass is expired. Why am I talking about this? Because it's Colt McCoy.
Yeah, exactly. Chris Trevler by the end of the game.
Right. So, I mean, James Conner got his touchdown,
Exactly.
right? Eno Benjamin did get a little bit of work. Maybe should have used him more as a receiver. There's just wasn't much here for Arizona today. Obviously, they scored 10 points.
Right. Try to get through the game without getting anybody hurt kind of game for Arizona. They play Seattle next week. A Seattle team that we'll talk about. Some hurt feelings there. And again, I just felt like this is one that Arizona was fine with chalking up because they're 8-1, because they know where they stand, because they didn't have their best receiver and their quarterback. And again, with the bye coming up in week 12, I wonder if we're going to see them against Seattle next week.
I wonder. Whew. Okay, deep breath. Still got a few games to go because next up we have Minnesota and the LA Chargers. That's right, everybody. Minnesota getting that victory. 27-20 is the final score. Kirk Cousins, couple of touchdowns in this one, both to Tyler Conklin. Justin Jefferson did everything but get a touchdown, 9 for 143. Adam Thielen, 5 for 65. Dalvin Cook still out there, 24-94 and a touchdown. I honestly don't think anything's going to happen to him yet this season, Bloom. We can discuss that briefly as you just did. But so Minnesota, your recipe works, and it works against the Chargers because the Chargers fall apart and don't play defense.
Yeah, I think that you see the deep weaknesses for the Chargers defense and the Vikings defense doing enough. We saw Dalvin Cook eventually getting his. Justin Jefferson, you can't hold him down, and Kirk Cousins playing pretty well in this one. And again, Minnesota is one of these teams that when you look at them when they're playing their best, which is never from beginning to end of a game for an entire game, but pieces of games, this is a team that can hang with anybody. Again, they all but beat Arizona in Arizona, but this is also a team that almost lost to Detroit and lost to Dallas with Cooper Rush and so on. Second half of the season, though, sees any team that can put together a 7-1 or 6-2 second half of the season is probably going to make the playoffs, and will probably be coming into the playoffs playing as good a football as the best 3 or 4 teams in the league. And why not Minnesota, even though they lost Donnell Hunter? Or maybe we're just overestimating the Chargers. You did see Tyler Conklin get a couple touchdowns in this one, a beautiful one that Cousins trusted him to run under. And really, we're going to know more about Minnesota next week. They get to play Green Bay, come into Minnesota, so that's always a yardstick game for them. If they can beat Green Bay, maybe they have something going. And see, with the Chargers, checking with them a month ago, they do have something going. I don't know what they have going now.
Yeah, and who knew Mike Williams was the key to everything? He's the gatekeeper.
Yeah,
you want to prevent the world from imploding? Mike Williams has to be your hero.
Right.
It's off. Things are off script with the Chargers, because since Mike Williams stuck up the joint or just doesn't do much, or you can take him away, Justin Herbert looks mortal. Okay. Keenan Allen still looks great. 8 for 98, though. Not great numbers. Don't get greedy. Nothing from the tight ends. I got Donald Parham. Yeah, you got nothing. Austin Eckler will do enough, touchdown receiving, 44 yards on the ground. Larry Roundtree gets a rushing touchdown. But really, it's an overall message of how do you escape your past? How do you run from your shadow when your shadow is literal in this physical world? It isn't a memory. It's who they are.
Right.
And the Chargers can't beat themselves.
No, and they thought they put it behind them, right? Joey Bosa talked about how when we go into the half with the lead, what's going to happen? Now we don't feel that way. This was a game. Actually, Eric Hendricks had a tremendous, Matt Waldman put it on his Twitter, tremendous interception, mirroring Keenan Allen, right? See, Steelers have Keenan Allen covered by linebacker. Vikings have Keenan Allen covered by linebacker. Interception. And it got the Vikings in a comfort zone early in the game. The Chargers came back to take the lead. Herbert and company, Larry Roundtree with a nice touchdown. But it was the Vikings coming up with the plays in the second half to seize control of this game. And don't you get a feeling, speaking of Andrew Luck, don't you get the feeling at this point the Chargers, whether they are thinking it or not are really putting it all on Herbert's shoulders. And sometimes that works.
Well, you're a franchise quarterback. You're supposed to be able to do this, right?
Right. But he's
Why
not getting help.
aren't you doing this?
It's not happening. He's not getting help from his teammates. He's not getting help from Joe Lombardi, I don't think. And this offense started to really stall out. And that's not enough when the defense is playing that way. So we'll see what the Chargers do. Good news for them is they get Pittsburgh next week.
Good news, everybody. Good news. Good news. One more game. It is Green Bay, Seattle. All right. Seattle, Green Bay. Did I say that wrong? Whatever. We got to get to it. It's Seahawks, and it is Packers. 17-0 Green Bay. Not a lot here, Bloom.
No.
Russell Wilson's back.
No.
Couple of picks. This was 3-0 at halftime. There was a 14-point surge in the fourth quarter. We do have some Aaron Jones sad stuff to get to, but let's talk about Seattle. Russell was back, and nobody did anything. What, Gerald Everett, 8 for 63? Okay. Alex Collins was okay, 10 for 41. But, like, Russell's back, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter at all for Seattle today.
And maybe they rushed him back. He didn't look right. Okay. Now, we talked about this in the preview that in the last 8 matchups between these two teams, the home team won every matchup. So it isn't necessarily shocking when you think of it in that context. Russell Wilson has never had a good day at Lambeau, at least not good enough to win, but he just didn't look like he was ready. And I get it. Although Geno kept the team competitive, 3 points scored in the first half, lowest scoring first half this year in any game. Rodgers versus Wilson, lowest scoring first half in any game this year. In the first shutout of the Russell Wilson era. First one. I think, again, Greg Rosenthal said Geno wouldn't have got shut out. Geno would have got a touchdown in garbage.
Geno would have called somebody and offered him money. That was weird.
Right. Yeah. Well, look.
Sorry, I like Greg. He's a nice guy.
Yeah. And I wonder if that was a little shot at David Tepper. But anyway, it was a miserable day for Seattle. Nothing, no one, there's nothing to talk about here for fantasy football. And what I really want to talk about, Cease, is what does this bring Seattle to now? 3-6, right? I mean,
this brings them to the realization that they didn't want Russell Wilson back.
Yeah, it's over. It's over. I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean,
this is after a separation, getting back together and realizing it's not worth it.
Again, keep staying with the awkward relationship stuff, right?
Minus the money.
It's get a little Hall notes. They never made it. Well, they did make it with Russell Wilson. They just shouldn't have called Russell Wilson pass. They'd have 2 rings if they just would have went with Marshawn Lynch on that run, because that's the stuff you're thinking about, right? It's over. The Carroll Wilson era. Watching this game, and again, some of it's Wilson in the finger, and maybe he'll bounce back. We'll see what he does against Arizona next week. Don't get me wrong. Okay, I'm not saying they're going to lose every game or anything like that, but it's over. The Carroll Wilson era has run its course, and much like the McCarthy Rodgers era or the Green Bay Rodgers era, which will have run its course at the end of this year, you can't help feel like there should have been more. There could have been more. Again, we not just isolating that one play. So I just it was kind of sad, Cease, watching this game, but not for Green Bay. And they have their new blueprint, and there's a very sad injury, Cease, but we talked about a team, Washington, rallying around seeing one of their top players go down. In this case, maybe, as much as I love Aaron Jones, maybe this team with A.J. Dillon as the point of the spear is realizing a mode that they're very comfortable in.
Yeah, and I don't think Aaron Rodgers is in the mode where Peyton Manning was, where it's like, oh, just got to run, and then hopefully the old man can keep it together. He's not where Manning was in 2012, or certainly 2013, and he's not where he was last year either. Right. So Aaron Rodgers was back, and I said this on the air. I think it bears repeating here as well, because I was talking about Pat Shurmur, and everyone's making Pat Shurmur jokes. I'm like, I want to know he's okay. Mm-hmm. All right, like when people are battling this thing that we can't talk about because YouTube, you, instead of virtue signaling about how great you are for whatever decision that you made or didn't make, or do this or don't do that or whatever, I don't even like. That's not where I'm going with this. Your first response as a human being should be, are they going to be okay? How is their health? So Aaron Rodgers, he's the worst person ever. Is he okay? Like, is he okay? That should, as a good human being, that should be your first piece of grace. It usually isn't. People make fun of Pat Shurmur. I wasn't going to do that. I didn't do it with Rodgers. I didn't do it with Shurmur. I'm like, just everybody be healthy, okay? Get out there, get healthy, be healthy, stay safe, all those sorts of nice, good things. Everyone stay positive and stay good. But Aaron Rodgers was back out there, and it just looked a little different, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see how that plays out long term, Bloom. A lot of hidden messages here, but okay, I want to see what A.J. Dillon looks like leading this Packers team. Because Rodgers, again, I think you could save him up for the playoffs probably. I don't think he's done, but we don't know how his body will react as the season goes on. How much wear and tear did he have to go through? These are legitimate, real questions about real world issues that YouTube won't let us talk about. So let's talk about A.J. Dillon.
Right. Well, and what you have here is, and some of it is, again, Seattle and Wilson not being ready, but the Green Bay defense without Jair Alexander on IR, hopefully coming back at some point this year, they're feeling their oats. You know, Rashawn Gary got a little banged up in this one. He's had a fantastic season so far. So, but that's the NFL, right? Again, it's that finishing the race, not being the fastest for any specific section of the race, just finishing the race. And they have, even though they did lose Aaron Jones to a knee injury, he looked really upset about it. I don't think he got good news about preliminarily what they think it is. We'll get more specific news, but this is why now Matt LaFleur, maybe the Jordan Love pick didn't exactly bear fruit last week. But the A.J. Dillon pick, yeah. I mean, both were criticized just because it didn't really help the team get better that year when they had just gotten the NFC title game. It didn't address some of the reasons they got drummed out of that game, right? But it can address how this team can be a January team, because Aaron Rodgers, like you said, Cecil, he's not the player he was last year when he was in MVP form. But a la Peyton Manning, and he's much better than Peyton Manning was on the Super Bowl winning Denver team. If you just run on first and second down, or play action pass or run on first and second down, and you leave your offense in third and threes, third and fours, and things like that, well, now Aaron Rodgers is a really scary quarterback to have to stop. I don't want to have to stop Aaron Rodgers on third and three or third and four. That doesn't sound like any
just
fun
make it
at all.
easy for him.
Yes. And the defense, if they're doing their part, now we're cooking, right? Because again, who's the team in the NFC that you're scared is going to run? They played Kyler Murray. I mean, now Kyler Murray got hurt late in that game, and you say Arizona could have beat them, but they played Arizona straight up, and their strength, their style of football matches the weakness of the Arizona defense, and so on and so forth. You know, we can match up Green Bay against these teams. We can say a team where the first mode of attack is A.J. Dillon, and then you have to figure out how to stop Aaron Rodgers while you're tired. And see, this is something Brandon Staley put out there into
cold.
And you're cold. And this is something that Brandon Staley put out there into the football hive mind in a very discreet, specific way, so that we understand. You run the ball to wear down the opponent. You run the ball because you force the defenders to expend energy.
Right.
And yeah, that all fits together. Okay. So this change, and Aaron Jones is a good player. Their offense obviously is not better without Aaron Jones, but it might not lose a lot. Again, we're going to see them go up against Minnesota with this blueprint. And see, I guess in Denver, you're just tearing up the blueprint. You're throwing it in the fire.
Well, speaking of fire.
Yeah.
Is Vic Fangio still? My phone's not blowing up yet. Has Vic Fangio been fired yet? Has he been fired yet? Seriously, you're not doing anything. You're not going to the Dallas game. I had hope, Bloom. I had hope. I felt good, and I don't have to worry about fracturing any relationship with the team because that's already been done. The new owner will love me more because they don't have an owner right now, and well, they're a little perturbed. Where do we begin? The Eagles, hell of a game, man, and hell of a game plan. I suppose I want to start by praising Philadelphia first, Bloom, before we talk about the Broncos. And Teddy just lost every single fan that he had, all 5 of them. But it's 30-13, Eagles over the Broncos. They just whipped, just knocked the crap out of them all day long. And Jalen Hurts does it as a runner and as a passer. 2 touchdowns passing, 53 yards rushing. They couldn't figure it out. They couldn't stop Jordan Howard late in the game when they're salting the game away. Howard had 20 yards, and all of a sudden they just gave it to him. He got 60 more yards. 83 on the day. Boston Scott, 81 on the day. Devonta Smith, you had one job. You had one receiver to really concern yourself with. Dallas Goedert knocked out of this game. Injury update if you can, Bloom. Quez Watkins, 4 for 33. So you had one receiver to really concern yourself with. He had 2 touchdowns in the first half. 4 for 66 and 2 for Devonta Smith. So lots of stuff to get to with Denver. But first, let's accentuate the positive, Bloom.
Yeah, Dr.
With
John.
Philadelphia.
Accentuate the positive. The positive was a lot of positive. I think the biggest positive is, this is probably the first game I was genuinely impressed with Jalen Hurts as a passer. Just the passes that he made.
Yes.
He looked like a natural passer in this game. And the Devonta Smith touchdown, the second one, I think, he gave him a chance to make a play. And see, so you don't think contested catches when you think Devonta Smith. You know, I mean, there's a lot of really good things about his game. But he did it against Patrick Surtain. Teammate, what is it? Crimson Tide on Crimson Tide. Crime, right? And it was a tremendous play. Tremendous play. Quez Watkins dropped a bomb, a beautiful long bomb that Hurts threw.
Right through his hands.
We had another touchdown. So Hurts was magnificent in this game. And maybe in this cycle that with so much time passes, we're 2.5 months into the season, really just a little over 2 months, honestly, into the season. And how many roller coaster bumps have we already gone through with Hurts? Well, right now he's peaking. And again, you know, the Eagles, what are they, 4-6? They shouldn't count themselves out. No team should count themselves out unless you're the Houston Texans and maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars. You folks get it. Jordan Howard running the ball, and that's the thing. And see, what's really troubling if you're Denver, you couldn't stop the pass, you couldn't stop the run, you couldn't get anything going on offense. There's just nothing you hang your hat on this game. And it's a fraudulent 5-5 team. The Eagles are peaking right now, and they're facing a New Orleans team that is doing some inventory right now. Try to figure. It's the NFL. I mean, we really can't. It's all a very transitory reality, right? Whoever you are this week, you're going to mix it up with someone next week, and you might be thinking of yourself differently after that. You might look in the mirror and see a different team than what you thought you were going into that game. And I don't know what Denver sees looking in the mirror. Maybe it's like the broken mirror. I don't even want to look.
Can they even afford a mirror? I mean, this is what you get when you have a cash-strapped team with no owner, and the people at the top are lining their pockets because they're double dipping. You're double dipping if you're part of a trust and you're running the team. You're double dipping. Sorry, nice man, but you're double dipping. I mean, there's nobody to make a call. Like, get rid of Vic Fangio. Just get rid of him. Like, he was texting with Mark Kisla, kicking it with the Kiz. And Kisla's one of our pot stirrers. Oh. I know it's Colorado, so think what you think. But Kiz is pretty cool. Like, Kiz and I have had some words, but him and I are cool because we can have our words like men. We don't subtweet each other like cowards. So, like, me and Kiz are cool. I don't mind his shtick, right? He's the old, but, columnist, right, Bloom?
Yeah.
Remember
the columnist. I'm not a beat writer. I'm a columnist.
I'm a columnist, and I'm going to show up and I'm going to spend 7 minutes asking a quirky question. So he did a Vic Fangio piece that was very interesting today that came out before the game in the Sunday Denver Post. Made people actually buy the paper, and nobody does that anymore. And in it was revealed, like, Fangio was texting him after the Dallas win, like, scratch the Cowboys OC off your list. Okay, Fangio, you can't text that sort of game and smack and then go out there and get smacked around by a plucky Eagles team, like an okay Eagles team. The Eagles aren't great for sure. And the Broncos are not even good. They're not, they don't even register on like, hey, they're kind of average. And I know their record is average, but they're not good. They are fraudulent. They are fraudulent with what they do. Whatever the Dallas game, they rushed Dak back too fast, or convergence, intersection, was Mercury in retrograde. I have no idea. Whatever the hell happened there. They don't have a choice, and they don't have a chance. They don't have a chance until they get rid of Vic Fangio, which won't be till next year, because they don't have anyone at the top to be like, this sucks, you're out of here. They'll never did. They got a coach who thinks he's hot stuff because he's got one signature win in 3 years. No Pat Shurmur today, and again, everyone with opinions out the wazoo, and is the guy okay, right? And Mike Shula calling the plays. Shula's more than capable of doing this. He was an OC for how many years with Carolina?
Yeah.
A couple years with the Giants. Like, he's more than capable of doing this. And he didn't really abandon the run as much as you think he would have getting down in this game, but you still only have 8 carries for Javonte Williams. This is just stupid.
Yeah.
So we're past the point of like, I'm past the point of being angry. And I know, like, I will get in trouble on the air if I say, like, this person, I called Paxton Lynch a moron one time. I was at the combine, I was rolling,
no.
right? And I was like, this is a moron.
Not really rolling.
Yeah. So I got called into the office for that one. And I was like, but yeah. So, you know what I mean? Like, speaking of box of rocks,
right?
They might have to make a quarterback change to Drew Lock when he's healthy and off the COOF list again. When someone's on the COOF list, don't make fun of them or whatever. Let's hope that they can get healthy and stay healthy and not have any long-term effects or whatever. And I'm just like, it's to the point where the decisions that they make are just dumb. Just dumb. I had a buddy of mine in the league, I'll tell you who it is off air, that texted me and said the go fly zone instead of the no fly zone because their secondary
cleared for takeoff,
highest paid in the league, and their secondary is terrible. You know, they're losing Baron Browning. I mean, there's hot Baron Browning talk coming up, but it's like they don't play for their coach. The system that he implements doesn't really fit the talent that he has left over. Again, this is so weird coming off the Dallas game where you're like, okay, and I guess, you know, Vaughn, because people would kind of do with Vaughn what we were talking about with Justin Herbert. Like, hey, Vaughn, we need you. And then he's getting triple teamed and can't make a play. That's when he was traded away. You felt a relief. Not that Vaughn was bad in the locker room. He wasn't bad in the locker room. He was a locker room leader, but there was a release of like, oh, now I got to do it myself. You know, this isn't like, oh, mom and dad are always there to pay for everything. This is like, no, now I got to pay my own bills. And so you felt that surge last week with the Denver Broncos. And now just everything that not running Javonte Williams is dumb. He's a special back. You see it on almost every carry from the kid. The Melvin Gordon play, he fumbles in this, and he was trying, like Gordon was playing good football, man. He was like trying, and the ball gets punched out, stripped out, whatever. Darius Slay picks it up. I think Slay's quietly having a Pro Bowl season. Nobody talks about him because he was terrible last year. But anyway, he's running down the field, and it was one of those, like, is the play over? Is what is, you know, you don't know. No whistle, you know, play to the whistle. And Teddy, like, kind of, you ever walk down the hallway in high school, Bloom, and the bully would, like, you know, flinch at you to make you flinch, and then you'd be like, oh yeah, and you'd run into the locker or whatever. Teddy did that to Slay. He's like, and then he backed away and let Slay run right by him. Fans don't like Teddy Bridgewater. Okay, that's, and whatever that says about Denver fans, and it's not him as a person. Like, he's a really good man, like a really good man. He's just not a good quarterback, and he was the best option they had because, well, he's better than Drew Lock. But now it's like, all the fans have turned on him. All the fans have turned on him. I'm not even looking at my mentions on Twitter because I put out something about Teddy in that play. I replayed that play, a little video clip, and it's just like fans hate him for not just tackling Darius Slay. And I know Teddy's slender, but dude, trip him up.
Yeah.
You know, run into him.
Do something.
And imagine if he'd like blown him up.
Right.
And then fumble, and maybe he's hurt or hurts his shoulder or whatever. But like, how much fans would just love him and be like, that's my quarterback. Now nobody wants him. There's no Teddy Bridgewater jerseys. There's no hype. There's no buzz. There's nothing positive. There never was. And now after that play, like, fans just don't want him. It is so bad in Denver that it's just play lock. Just play lock. Like, Teddy's not good. You're not going to win. Who cares? You beat the Detroit Lions. Who cares? Just play Drew Lock, and who the hell knows what that means? It means Lock stands will get their wish, and he might, like, win a game or something, like, against Detroit. And then everyone will be like, you should have started him. He missed out on 1 million reps. Like, they need a new owner. They need a new coach. They need a new OC. They need a new quarterback. and I've never seen it like this before. We get advanced data on a lot of stuff, okay? And I've been able to watch my ratings in real time plummet when I bring up something like the Avs, okay, in years past. This is inside baseball, Bloom. There's my own lone baseball reference. So we have technology where we can watch people tune out, okay, with what you say or what topic you bring up. Do you know what people are tuning out of now? The Denver Broncos. You know, I'm talking on my 3-hour show, Nick and Cecil. I am talking probably an hour to an hour and a half of Nuggets. Because people, and this is Broncos country. What's the flailings means? Morris deserved it from Nicola. But like this never happens here.
Yeah.
This never happens here. And it's happened. True and pure apathy and true diehard Broncos fans that have turned on their team, that don't care about the quarterback and don't want to watch or listen to talk about this team.
Yeah. Cease, this is what happens when no one is minding the store. Right? Like you said, the cash register is just a slush money. It's just a petty cash fund. Right? No one is minding the store.
Right.
And it's been this way for a little while, but now you're seeing what happens when no one is minding the store for an extended time. And for you, Cease, as we're the show within the show, another episode of Cecil Lammey covers the Denver Broncos, is that resignation that you feel, because you are connected with the fans and they are connected with you. You know that it's not going to get better. You know there's nobody or no plan or nothing in place to make it better. And I suppose for you, Cease, I just feel a little bad because it's like I care about doing my job well. I focus and I'm disciplined about putting my best into my job. Denver Broncos, management, coaches. Why can't you? Why can't you do that? Mm-hmm. It would make this a lot more fun, right? So, yeah, this is where we are, you know, although it still would take Teddy over Mason Rudolph. I just want to say that for the record. Look,
I take Teddy over Trevor Siemian again with fit. If Teddy goes to New Orleans, if he gets traded in New Orleans,
they tried to. Yeah, they tried.
If Teddy goes to New Orleans, like that's pretty good. And but George Payton's like, trade my quarterback in the middle of a playoff run.
Denial. Well,
come on.
Yeah, we'll see. So,
I like George Payton, but come on.
Yeah. Javonte Williams had a touchdown call back in this one. So sorry, it was a legitimate holding penalty, but this is
Salbert got him.
This is the reality of playing him. Gordon's going to have the better shot for the touchdown. You mentioned that Darius Slay return. That was the dagger in this game, but nothing much happening in the passing game here. Jerry Jeudy and the inventive ways they were using him last weekend. I mean, look, whatever worked last week against Dallas, it was, again, what parts of week 9 were just some sort of bad dream that we woke up from? Or in the case of the Broncos, a good dream that they woke up from and they woke up back into reality. Right. Because, reality... what was this movie from the 90s that we lived through? Reality Bites. So, not a nibble, not a little love nibble either, but just bites for the Broncos fans. But, the beautiful thing about the season is we turn the page. Denver, we have to go into their bye and stay in this feeling for another week.
Yeah. Underrated 90s movie?
What's that?
I'd rather talk about underrated 90s movies.
Yeah, that's podcast number 748.
Singles, right?
The counterpart. Uh-huh. Yeah, Seattle one.
Because it had such a great soundtrack, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That was a great vibe. Like, speaking of vibes going into your bye week, give me that new Seattle sound vibe.
It was that moment. They talk about it, Cease. There was a
moment. Not everything's okay. Yeah.
Right. And there was a moment there when grunge was just the runaway popular thing with the young people, that the inmates took over the asylum, right? The music industry was just at a loss for finding new acts to scratch this itch. So it was the weirdos that worked for the record companies. They started taking over the record companies, and it looked like the tide was going to turn. It was like the summer of love. It was really going to happen. And then Pearl Jam took on Ticketmaster, and it all fell apart.
Uh-huh. Don't take on the people with the B.
No.
Mm-hmm. Take on millionaires. You can do that. Take on the billionaires. You won't win. And that's podcast number 8,792.
Right. Welcome to Don't Take on the Billionaires. Well,
I feel like a Russell Brand rant coming on. But anyway.
Oh, yeah.
let's
Pet the
let's
furry
wrap it
walls.
up. Let's wrap it up for tonight. I love you. I love our audience.
I love it.
You know, I love being able to do this.
It's therapy.
Your friend down in New Orleans who said you got a good job.
Yeah.
Yes. It's frustrating when you cover the Broncos, but feel very blessed to have this audience with you guys there. You guys are a real treat out there. Chat room, listeners, Spotify, Apple Music, what have you. So we certainly appreciate you guys very, very, very much. He's Sigmund Bloom. You follow him on Twitter at Sigmund Bloom. I'm at Cecil Lammey, and I'm so dejected. But I have you, and I have us, and I have my family. That's most important. So there you go. Everyone out there, thanks for listening. YouTube things, like, comment, share, subscribe, notification, blah, 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 blah. Although I have no idea why they like half monetize our video. Seriously, YouTube?
Because I sang Hall & Oates. I do not have blue eyes. That's called Hazel Eyes Soul.
We don't have the license to sing.
No.
Yeah, don't sing the happy birthday song. Like legit. Like I think they have like a spider or something that scours the web to find people that sing happy birthday and don't pay them. It's like when you say three-peat and you got to owe Pat Riley a quarter. So there you go.
There's another quarter.
All right. We love you guys. Appreciate y'all. Thanks much. Stay tuned and stay frosty.